doubt they'll criticize my record and offer their own vision for this country. I'll be traveling this week making the case for our record and the vision, my vision of the country, our vision. I'll continue to speak out strongly for our democracy, stand up for our Constitution and the rule of law, to call for action at the ballot box, no violence on our streets. That's how democracy should work. We debate and disagree. We compare and contrast the character of the candidates, the records, the issues, the agenda, the vision for America. But in America, we resolve our differences at the battle box. You know, that's how we do it, at the battle box, not with bullets. The power to change America should always rest in the hands of the people, not in the hands of a would-be assassin. You know, the path forward through competing visions of the campaign should always be resolved peacefully, not through acts of violence. You know, we're blessed to live in the greatest country on earth, and I believe that with every soul, every power of my being. So tonight, I'm asking every American to recommit, to make America, think about it. What's made America so special? Here in America, everyone must be treated with dignity and respect, and hate must have no safe harbor. Here in America, we need to get out of our silos, where we only listen to those with whom we agree, where misinformation is rampant, where foreign actors fan the flames of our division to shape the outcomes consistent with their interests, not ours. Let's remember, here in America, while unity is the most elusive of goals right now, nothing is more important for us now than standing together. We can do this. You know, from the beginning, our founders understood the power of passion. So they created a democracy that gave reason and balance a chance to prevail over brute force. That's the American we must be. An American democracy where arguments are made in good faith. An American democracy where the rule of law is respected. An American democracy where decency, dignity, fair play aren't just quaint notions, but living, breathing realities. We owe that to those who come before us, to those who gave their lives for this country. We owe that to ourselves. We owe it to our children and our grandchildren. Look, let's never lose sight of who we are. Let's remember we are the United States of America. There is nothing beyond our capacity when we do it together. God bless you all. May God protect our troops.
President Biden calling on unity from this country. Let's bring in Mary Bruce, our chief White House correspondent. Mary, we were told by this White House that the president would ask for all Americans to condemn political violence across this country, and that's what he did tonight.
David, this was a heartfelt call for unity from the president, a strong condemnation of political violence. The president there straight off the bat saying it is time to lower the temperature in our politics, urging the nation to come together. But the president also recognizing just how difficult that is to do in this incredibly divisive time in our country. The president saying that this is a time of testing and that the higher the stakes, the greater the burden. And given what he himself has argued is at stake in this election, it is going to be very difficult to do what the president is doing. But he is essentially issuing a challenge to all Americans today to take out their anger and frustration at the ballot box, not through violence, essentially arguing that it is counter to what this country stands for, David.
All right, Mary Bruce at the White House tonight as the president addresses the nation after this attempted assassination on former President Trump, calling for unity across our nation, saying we can have our political opinions, we should embrace each other's opinions, but we must do so peacefully, calling on all of us to condemn political violence. I should note that many of us here in the East will be watching a special report from ABC News just moments from now on the attempted assassination of former President Trump. Stay tuned for that. And many of you in the West will be able to see that same special at 8 p.m. in the West as well. Stay tuned. That special for millions of Americans begins right now.
This has been a special report from ABC News.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Lindsay Davis. You just heard President Biden there, in his own words, delivering a rare Oval Office address to the nation, calling it a time of testing and urging calm and unity following the attempted assassination of former President Trump. But several times he said we have to take a step back, take stock of where we are. Though we may disagree, we are not enemies. He said again, it is time to cool it down. And joining us now from Milwaukee, ABC's Kana Whitworth, who's on the ground there. Kana, President Biden calling for unity in this speech. Do you expect that will resonate in Milwaukee, where you are?
Well, I have to tell you that that word unity is the same thing that we are hearing from Republicans. It's the same thing that we're hearing from Donald Trump's team as well. And Lindsay, you know, when you heard the president speak there, to Mary Bruce's point, he's essentially trying to use this moment to reinforce what they believe is the central moment to his candidacy, but also the central thesis to his campaign here is to try to save the democracy. And that's what you're hearing from Democrats. And he really believes that toning down this political violence, but also the rhetoric as well will help in that. But that's also something, again, that we are hearing from Donald Trump's team. Now that he is on the ground here in Milwaukee, he is urging his campaign staff to tone down that rhetoric and to use this moment to show that the Republican Party can be resilient and the Republican Party can be tough. But Lindsay, I have to tell you, I spent the day yesterday out speaking with dairy farmers, milk producers. It is crucial to the economy here in Wisconsin, and top of mind for them, this was prior to the assassination attempt, is safety within this country, within our own borders, and that is top of mind for them. So then when you see an event like this and they watch the candidate that they believe should be the next president of the United States nearly assassinated on television, it rings true for them, their concerns about safety within this country. And so what you're hearing, again, is the attempt here from both parties to unify and to let everybody's voices be heard, even if they are a bit divisive, that differing opinions matter. That's what makes our democracy so great, Lindsay.
And we heard from Jay O'Brien earlier saying that many of the lawmakers who are going to be giving their speeches there throughout the week during the convention are going through and changing what they wrote to adjust to this attempted assassination. You also told us about the different themes that are taking place. We'd have to imagine on Tuesday night, when the theme is Make America Safe Again, that that's going to take on new meaning.
It certainly will, because they have the here and now of the actual safety that they're talking about. But you also have the divisive party line here about gun rights and control over firearms. And right now there's even a little bit of arguing about how that should be handled at the RNC, right? Because we know that this is a heightened threat environment. Security is being looked at very tightly. But at this point, you are allowed to have a firearm on the outer perimeter of this convention. So nowhere near the forum, but within walking distance, you are allowed to have a firearm. And again, the theme of Tuesday is Make America Safe once again. And I think that once again is really imperative when you think about what the Republican Party is trying to message here, Lindsay, because they want to remind Americans of what it was like 4 years ago, how they felt 4 years ago. Did you feel safer as an American 4 years ago than you do right now? And Lindsay, President Biden brought up the fact that in all likelihood here at the RNC that his past would be dug into and potentially criticized. But you have to imagine, Lindsay, that also they're going to be questioning the future of this country. And is Joe Biden up to the task of serving another 4 years? You know that the future will be in the spotlight here. Also on Tuesday, we don't want to forget that Nikki Haley is speaking. She is a foe of former President Donald Trump. She has been very critical of him. We know that she said she will vote for him. And then now very recently, she has released her delegates. She's encouraging them to support Donald Trump. And she will be taking the stage here at the Republican National Convention on Tuesday, on that day, Lindsay, that you spoke about, that the theme is Make America Safe once again, Lindsay.
Another thing that's interesting that John Santucci brought us was how even within the Trump campaign, after J.D. Vance and Vivek Ramaswamy released statements basically pointing the finger at President Biden and his campaign for this kind of rhetoric that became dangerous, potentially threatening the life of Donald Trump, that within the Trump campaign, they were also saying to tone it down, something that we also heard right off the top from President Biden. And so you have to imagine and question really what those speeches are going to look like when you have Donald Trump's own people saying, hey guys, let's bring it down.
Right. How will they modify those speeches in the wake of this assassination attempt? And from Jay O'Brien's reporting, while they're making those efforts to change those speeches, they do have to be approved, right? They have to go through several